Ever opened social media and felt like everyone else is vacationing on paradise beaches while you celebrate just because your bank account finally hit 4 digits? Yeah, that feeling is more common than you think. And when you hear phrases like top 1% or top 10%, maybe you secretly wonder where you actually are on this invisible financial ladder everyone keeps talking about. Today, we are going to pull back the curtain on what it really means to be rich, where you stand right now, and what it takes to climb to the next level. Before we dive in, if you care about building real wealth instead of just looking successful online, hit subscribe, tap like, and tell me in the comments which level you think you are currently on. Most people think rich means luxury cars, designer watches, huge houses, and never checking prices at restaurants. But that picture is only one tiny and often misleading slice of reality. There are actually two very different versions of rich. There is income rich, where you earn a lot, and wealth rich, where your assets quietly work harder than you do. You can be income rich and completely broke, spending every single raise on upgrades, toys, and status. You can also be relatively modest in income and quietly become truly wealthy. So the first mental shift is simple but uncomfortable. Stop asking only how much you earn. Start asking how much you own and how fast that ownership is growing every single year. Think of your financial life like a staircase. At the bottom, you fight just to survive. Higher up, you reach stability, then comfort, then freedom, and finally true legacy territory. Each level feels completely different from the inside. The problems change, the decisions change, and most importantly, the strategies that work at one level often fail at the next one. Level 1 is financial survival mode. Bills always feel heavier than your income, and any unexpected expense like a car repair or medical bill feels like a full-blown financial emergency. In survival mode, you are not building wealth, you are just trying not to drown. The goal at this level is very clear, but difficult: stop sinking and reach the surface. Level 2 is when you finally get your head slightly above water. You pay bills mostly on time, maybe have a tiny emergency cushion, but you still depend completely on the next paycheck. At this stage, you hear about investing, see people talking about dividends, index funds, real estate, but it still feels distant, almost like a secret reserved only for the already rich. Level 3 is stability. You finally have a real emergency fund, some retirement savings, maybe your first serious investment account, and money stops feeling like a constant ticking time bomb. Life at this level looks pretty good from the outside. The danger is believing the journey is over just because things feel easier, even though you are still far from real financial freedom. Level 4 is comfort with momentum. Your investments are no longer symbolic. They actually move the needle. You earn from your work, and finally, your money earns for you too. Emergencies still happen, but now they are inconveniences, not disasters. A broken fridge or short period without work is annoying, yet it does not immediately throw your entire life into chaos. Level 5 is true freedom and legacy. At this stage, you could stop working and still maintain your lifestyle because your assets quietly pay the bills, fund your goals, and outgrow your spending. Here, work becomes optional. You choose projects because they matter to you, not because you need permission from a boss or a paycheck scheduled for the end of the month. The interesting part is this: from the outside, people on different levels often look very similar. That is why it is so easy to confuse appearance of wealth with actual wealth. You might see two families on the same street, with similar cars and houses. One is quietly compounding their net worth. The other is one unexpected event away from everything falling apart. So if income and lifestyle do not tell the full story, what does? The real metric is net worth, your total assets minus your total debts, the number that reveals your true position. Net worth is not about flexing. It is about options. It is about how long you could maintain your life if your income disappeared tomorrow, and how much control you truly have. Many households sit in the lower half of the net worth distribution. That usually means little or no emergency savings, high interest debt, and almost no assets actually working on their behalf. In that zone, every surprise expense feels like a threat. The car breaks, a medical bill appears, or hours at work get cut, and suddenly every decision becomes stressful and emotional. Move slightly higher up, and you reach the middle group. Maybe there is some retirement money, maybe a bit of home equity, maybe some investments, but nothing close to genuine freedom yet. Higher still, you see people with real buffers. They own assets that throw off cash. They have multiple accounts, different income streams, and a financial system slowly pushing them toward independence. At the top, you find people whose assets not only cover their lifestyle, but continue to grow faster than they spend. For them, time compounds their wealth almost automatically. Here is where things get really counterintuitive. The lifestyle difference between someone with moderate wealth and someone with extreme wealth is often much smaller than people imagine. Both might live in nice homes, drive comfortable cars, travel, and send their kids to good schools. But behind the scenes, their relationship with money is completely different. The family with lower net worth still thinks about money often. They compare prices, worry about future expenses, and know that a serious crisis could still change everything. The family with much higher net worth barely notices most expenses. For them, money is less about survival or comfort, and more about impact, choices, and the kind of legacy they want to leave. So the gap is not just about what they buy. It is about how their systems, habits, and decisions either drain money every month or quietly multiply it in the background. This is why chasing lifestyle inflation is such a dangerous game. Every time your income rises, your expenses rise with it, and the gap that should be building wealth stays tiny. Someone goes from a modest salary to a high salary, and within a year, they feel just as broke because every raise was converted into bigger payments, nicer toys, and more obligations. Now imagine another person who kept their lifestyle almost the same as their income grew. They captured that difference and invested it month after month, year after year through good markets and bad. After 20 years, those two people can have the same total lifetime income, but completely different net worths. One has memories and payments, the other has memories and assets paying them. That is the power of understanding wealth as a long-term game rather than a monthly spending contest. The scoreboard is not your paycheck. The scoreboard is your growing ownership. Quick pause here. If this is opening your eyes, tell me in the comments which level you think you are on today and where you want to be 10 years from now. All right, now let us talk strategy, because understanding the ladder is useless if you do not know how to climb it from where you stand today. If you are in survival mode, your main enemy is not the stock market. Your main enemy is expensive, toxic debt combined with zero buffer for emergencies. In that season, the goal is brutally simple. Build a mini emergency fund, even if it is small, and attack high-interest debt with everything you reasonably can. Forget about impressing people. Forget about fancy investments. Every extra unit of attention should be going into reducing obligations and increasing your ability to survive unexpected hits. Once you escape pure survival and move into that vulnerable but improving stage, the game changes slightly. Now you focus on strengthening your emergency fund and building a consistent investing habit. You do not need exotic assets. You need simple, boring, automatic investing into diversified vehicles you actually understand. The habit matters more than the perfect product at this level. As your stability grows, you enter what I call the builder stage. You are no longer constantly reacting to crises. Now you can set clear goals for your future net worth. Here, you want to increase the percentage of your income that becomes investment. 10% might have started the journey, but now you push toward 20, 30, or even more over time. You also start thinking about structure. Which accounts are tax efficient, which assets create income versus growth, and how your overall mix supports your long-term freedom plan. Once you reach the comfort stage, where investments are meaningful, the next step is to turn that growing net worth into streams of income that are not tied to your job. Now you're talking about dividends, interest, rental income, business income, royalties, side projects with scale, anything that pays you whether or not you clock in tomorrow. At this level, optimization matters more too. You think about legal tax strategies, efficient account choices, and protecting what you have built so far from unnecessary risks. When you finally approach true freedom and legacy stages, your questions change again. It is no longer just, how do I grow this? But also, how do I protect and direct this for decades? Now you are thinking about long-term planning, inheritance structures, charitable giving, and making sure your wealth survives beyond you instead of evaporating in one generation of lifestyle upgrades. Here is the key insight most people miss. The strategy that gets you from survival to stability is not the same strategy that gets you from comfort to freedom. Someone drowning in debt needs a different playbook compared to someone choosing between different tax shelters. Copying advice designed for another level often leads to frustration or disaster. That is why so much financial advice online feels contradictory. The advice is not always wrong. It is just aimed at a different step on the wealth staircase than yours. Imagine using mountaineering gear to walk around your neighborhood or using casual sneakers to climb an icy peak. Same direction, totally different equipment and preparation. It works the same with money. The budgeting tactics that save your first few thousand are not identical to the strategies that protect your first million or your first 8-figure portfolio. Most people hit a plateau because they master the skills for one level and never learn the skills required for the next one. They keep repeating yesterday's playbook, hoping for tomorrow's results. The saver, who becomes excellent at cutting expenses but never learns to invest, stays stuck. The entrepreneur who grows a business but never learns about wealth preservation can end up back at zero. So the real question is not just, how much do you earn, but what level are you playing at? And are your habits actually built for the next level, not your current one? If you are stuck, there is a good chance you are applying strategies designed for comfort while still in survival, or strategies for freedom while you have not yet built stability. Here is a practical way to start. First, calculate your net worth. List everything you own, every asset, then subtract everything you owe, every debt. No judgment, just clarity. Second, look at your cash flow. Over the last 3 to 6 months, how much of your income stayed with you as savings or investments, and how much immediately flowed out to lifestyle and payments? Third, ask yourself a powerful question. If I keep doing exactly this for the next 10 years, where does my net worth realistically end up? If the honest answer scares you, good. That discomfort is fuel. It means your current habits and systems are not aligned with the future lifestyle you quietly daydream about. From there, your job is to increase the gap between what you earn and what you spend, then redirect that growing gap into assets that actually pay you back. That might mean delaying upgrades, downsizing a car, saying no to certain trips, or cutting status purchases that only impress people who are not helping with your future bills. It also means learning, gradually, how different assets behave. Why some pay income, some grow, some protect, and some are really just speculation wearing investment clothing. When you start seeing money as workers you deploy rather than tickets you spend, everything changes. You stop asking, can I afford this, and start asking, what does this cost my future net worth? Psychologically, money also shifts meaning as you climb. In survival mode, money equals safety. In stability, money equals comfort. In freedom, money equals impact and the ability to design your life. If you can mentally step into that future version of yourself, the one with options and ownership, you start making very different choices in the present. A powerful question I love is this: what will my future self 20 years from now thank me for doing with this next dollar? Sometimes the answer really is enjoying life today, creating memories, or helping someone you care about. Other times, the answer is clearly invest it and let it multiply quietly. The point is not to eliminate joy. The point is to stop trading long-term freedom for short-term image, especially to impress people who are not even paying attention. If this resonates, make sure you are subscribed, because here at Dave's Dividend Lab we break down practical step-by-step strategies to go from spender to owner, from income-obsessed to net worth-focused. Let us bring everything together with a simple mental model you can remember. Rich is mostly about income, wealthy is mostly about net worth, and how independent your life is from your next paycheck. You can be rich and broke, earning a lot and keeping almost nothing. You can be relatively average in income and quietly cross into real wealth through discipline and time. The median person in your country may never reach the upper wealth tiers, not because they are incapable, but because nobody taught them how to play the game beyond chasing promotions and raises. They spend entire careers optimizing income while ignoring net worth. They know their salary down to the cent but have no idea what their assets minus debts actually look like. Think of two people who both earn the same amount for 30 years. One treats income like a permission slip to spend. The other treats income like raw material for building ownership. At the end, one retires worried, hoping government programs or relatives fill the gaps. The other retires with diversified assets, multiple income streams, and a calendar they finally control. Same earnings, different decisions, different staircase. That is the uncomfortable truth about wealth distribution. It is brutal, but it is also empowering because it means your next choices matter. So here is your challenge after this video. Number 1, calculate your net worth. Number 2, decide which level you're actually on. Number 3, write down one habit that belongs to the next level. Maybe it is paying off a specific debt. Maybe it is starting automatic contributions into an index fund. Maybe it is finally building that emergency buffer you have been postponing for years. Whatever it is, do not let this just be interesting information. Turn it into a concrete action this week that moves you one small step up your own wealth staircase, and then come back to the comments and tell me, what level are you on now, and what is the next level you are personally aiming for? Because once you know the game you are playing, you stop feeling jealous of random lifestyle posts and start feeling focused on your own long-term scoreboard. You stop asking, how do I look successful? And start asking, how do I quietly build so much ownership that my future self barely needs to think about money anymore? In the end, the question is simple. Do you want to keep chasing the appearance of being rich today, or do you want to become genuinely wealthy over the next decade? If you choose real wealth, you are in the right place. That is exactly what we study, test, and break down here together. So, if you have not yet, hit like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this video with someone who needs to hear that rich and wealthy are not the same thing. Then binge through the other videos here on Dave's Dividend Lab, especially the ones about building dividend income and long-term portfolios that actually support your freedom instead of draining your paycheck. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Remember, your net worth is not fixed. Each decision either locks you into your current level or becomes one more step toward the life you want.